Back again. My name is Dennis Iman, and I don't know how to introduce this podcast episode, especially intro again the ones. There are people that sometimes you meet for the first time, and whatever they do, even if you go out on just one conversation, you just feel like I want to have a lot of conversation with this guy. And you have a conversation, you just realize, I think, I don't know, you just understand each other. Even when you don't talk, you just feel good. I think there's this energy that we share that I want to support what you do. I like what you do all the times. And when that happens, when you're in college, sometimes it feels like, but when years pass, 10 plus, and you still look at this person and see what they do, and all the fun banter, that you have seen them, and then you see them transform, you always be like, wait a minute, and that's how I always feel when I meet this guy. Welcome on podcast. Elias Zinja Gaveta.
Yeah, bro. Thanks, man.
I've always waited for a day that we'll sit down and just have this conversation and talk about. I want this conversation to just be about life, because that's what I see when I look at you. When I look at you, I see somebody who lives life, and I don't know. I'm trying to find the best way to get somebody who doesn't know you, doesn't follow you like that, to just understand it. Okay, who is this guy? It's just now that people call him Elias Gaveta, PhD, because he's now a doctor, duly accredited, and that means he has already completed his master's. I met him at Zinja University when he was one of those guys that you meet in the corridors. You'll be like, oh wow. So the conversations could be a little bit difficult to say. Elias Gaveta, who is this student that I met in the corridors of Zinja University, or Zinja, who was this outer ego persona who was doing music, who was just living his life on his terms with his friends and just having all the fun that you think of. Or do I speak to Dr. Elias Gaveta? But anyway, I'll speak to you as you are. But welcome, feel free.
Thank you, man.
Let's have this conversation.
I appreciate that.
Let's have this conversation, and yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, starting with where it all began, in Zinja University. You were one of the people that I met. And I think from our first interactions, Eric in the hood, I think
yes.
It was Eric Sani. I think there were several guys in Kuma House.
Yeah.
First Kuma House, and we just had conversations when we were on first year, and it just felt like okay, cool. This is a guy that I can have conversations with, and then just seeing you do your things and music, social life, and everything. Tell me about your life and how you navigated in Zinja University. Your memories now, like, you look back, like, oh wow, Zuni made me, and
oh man,
what are the memories that you have when you go back to that place?
I don't know where to start from, but okay, so I don't know. Maybe let me start a little bit back from a bit before that. So as we're growing up, how we pick up certain interests, certain habits. So when you grow, when I was dealing with a lot of find out my teenage or whatever phases we're dealing with, one of my first go-to was either an academic assignment or either music. So Zinja University was more of like something that I had dreamt of. I had thought of, but I didn't know where it was. And then I just saw it like,
found yourself
like
in
like,
that space.
in that space. I'm like, Lord, I'm here. I'm actually here, right? You know, I'm here, right? So I wanted to have the best experience. That was my number one goal, to have the best experience. So actually, this is an available to my whatever man I'm gonna get, I'm gonna buy the nicest clothes. I'm gonna you like hustling to go there and have the best experience you could get. But you know, going there and then you realize really you have also to stay in a society when so many other things come into your life as well. Actually, that's the number one interesting fact that I got from that experience, was that more than the academic journey, Kunzuni taught me about to understand or integrate into so many other things. Actually, I even think that's the biggest lesson than even the academic part of it, because I think that's where I was in a space where I was meeting so many new people at the same space. Pagamozi and notice now I say and to navigate through all that whole rhythm, and to see yourself, to see what can I do, and trying to also look at what you thought you had promised yourself. I think that was the most interesting experience, I would say, and to be able to come out and appreciate what it taught you. I appreciate that. That would be my way to express my Nzuni experience in
I think I share the same sentiments with you, because when I went to Nzuni, I had already been to college, so I wasn't seeing anything new, basically. Okay, I had been to Port for a year, so the whole feeling of do we go college and whatnot, the fears that a lot of people would have with college, I had that. But being in the space where you now meet new people, new expectations, and also when we were going there for 2009, there also this cafe, like, okay, school you mavuta uno chai no say organize kumene muchoka. So I think our club we fail na leo magazine ambira jogera kupole parallelo ina na chango, that intake inakuwa more chedwa ina yake. We started in August. Naturally it was supposed to be in April, so there was this delay. Makumbuka dimasiya nandi the classes that were ahead of us by 3 semesters, because the
that happened a couple of times, I think.
Our first year B. First year, second semester.
I remember that.
Then so it was like, okay, just being in that space and more of like relearning. Okay, I'm in a new environment, and now meeting people that I usually like look at you as one of those guys that were, this guy. So in entertainment, for me, I think that's the part that a lot of people knew me for. But there were a lot of other things, more extracurricular activities that were happening. Whether there's the socials going on,
my social weekend and stuff.
So you're trying to organize the Mr. Nzuni here. And the other side, there's Makeza Zain in how many. So they would come to just interact with my students, introduce
and that time we had a number of things coming. I think TNMs was also coming to do and sponsors in maybe. Yes, we had a lot of interaction with.
So there was like a lot of interaction that were going on with the outer world, mainly my corporates, and then there's the side music and all these other things, and just hearing the stories of Zinja fana. And those interactions are like, okay, give me a perspective. Oh wow, okay, this is school, but I think there's also a lot of fun and lessons to be learned.
Besides the
I think I hooked up with like a lot of people that were your friends that I knew, and okay, munani my classes are kutsogolo, but then whenever we need something, come through to
just
you guys and interact, and sports on the other side, in a Chancellor's Trophy.
Then tell me makonda with my child menya zundi pointers vivo.
Yes. So go watch basketball because you know, hey, ajina Zinja.
Hey, ndati nditi mudu. We had the Blenners. I think they ndati ajina Fizo Blenner. Maujo. Hey, kumenya ball na mene.
Po kuna wale ifine bwana ndajina po.
Kuna basi magezi magezi katimu kapo kana katimu kapo kankako masa hivi.
No, it's for me it's a pleasure to sit down here because I know it's like a lot of things to remember from where we're coming from and the experiences from there. But hugely, I want me to hear from you, Gudi. How did this really change you, or not change you, but shape you? How did all these interactions shape you? But I usually go and see your pictures that you will resurface from, let's say, Facebook memories. Akalazi zago highway. Like how you were so carefree and just having. What was that?
Okay. To me, to be honest, I don't even know if I've fully understood what it was, but I know that I've progressed from how I was understanding it then to then. I think ultimately the goal in life is to have a free soul, to be able to explore yourself to the max and to be able to enjoy life to the max. So that freedom, I think, somehow is the deepest thing that maybe we are looking for. But sometimes we restrict ourselves to so many other things that happen in the society or whatever. I think one thing that I know for sure was that when I was going there, I knew that I want to be here and I'm not going back anywhere until I finish what I came to do here.
Which was your academics?
That was number one. But at the second point, I knew that if I'm going to survive here, I'm going to have to put myself into the best moods possible. Which means some of the carefree or the fun could mean a certain frustration somewhere and you're trying to escape. And it could mean so much stuff that is going around. And because, to be honest, we've had a share of, trouble and stuff and the, issues. That's part of the whole experience. So to me, I was like, you know what? Why care? Why do you have to care so much about something that you have no control? So my carefree moment comes to the realization when I know that something I have control within, I can ably do it. But if I don't have any control, I just let it go.
I remember if you had to go there were a lot of issues that had happened. My guys and I get my suspicions.
It's so crazy, man.
Martin in Qatar. When he tells you his stories, okay, what's been going on here? And there were like, these demonstrations. Like they had happened and all that. How did you negotiate that kind of life on campus and just still be and okay, I'm still here, I'm still doing my academics, but I'm still, I think, having the best of my life while I'm on campus?
Ow. I think it just happens. Mostly instinct becomes the number one tool, and sometimes instincts are right and they're good, and actually I believe instincts are the very number one basis of any decision I make, but sometimes they take you into wrong turns. You sometimes makorwa misa energy igujidika bantaimene igamabo instinct yematenga energy obo iramazori wabanga, you think it's the right thing, but that was not, definitely not. So I think the most important part is that realization, and then just being like, okay, so what do I do better from now? But after that realization and after you have known what you can do better, I know you cannot do anything that you did in the past. If it passed, it passed. So I think that realization was like, okay, so how am I gonna train my soul to a certain space where I know I can make mistakes, but I want to move on. I want to keep on moving. I want to put, I can't stay in the same space just because I did certain things. So I think that energy was a little bit of more of like both a shield, but both an energy to move, to be able to still go back and sit down, maybe look at something, to still be able to see what you can do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that was mostly that.
You were very popular because of the musical side of you.
Yeah.
When we came in, we knew there was physics and then there was Zinja. And every other, before I even went to Nzuni, I had conversations with this guy Binge.
Hey.
And he was telling us because we used to stay, we were working together with Longwe. Yeah. So when I was coming, I had already gotten into this space. I know I talked to physics.
Oh, okay.
So I was on off campus, B2, 2B.
A, 2B.
2A, 2B.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So I had known like several guys before because of being mainly those that were in the entertainment space. And you came out of that.
Yeah.
What was it that put you so much to music, and how did that music play? Why you were like with how you lived and how you did your things, and also looking at the pressure that comes with it, because everybody knows somehow that there's this guy Manova, Zinja, things like those, and then there's pressure of trying to make sure your school stays.
Yeah, well, that's a very interesting question. Actually, I love how you put it. So let's start with music. So to me, I think I've learned a lot of things through music. I've come to understand the world through music. How I was introduced to music, I'm not even exactly sure. I'm number like Zambi Malowes amaba mabile kaunda jana makaguri akamati bangarizi ku Lake View makao ndinaloweza aba mabile kaunda jana makaimba usiku magege nakasa gona okajisa ndiwe asangani zoba mene zambwezera wa ne makari kuimba taloweza nyimbo maba moza so nambira kale my performance aba ama visual agenda, so it was like that. But then in the process, I came to get in contact in doing hip hop one bit. So hip hop was a bit revolutionary. We didn't get moment I made my grow, because at that point I was like literally too young. I was mugero muri mashaye makauru magaida ngokupeza ukanguvaa saba na boato kulanda ukamadusa malena ko mambo kenzo dusa like you had to check it. So part of toughening my skin was really in basi makauri mostly I'm just home basanizing nyimbo nchani. So I started learning a lot from music, and especially hip hop. And I started to understand a bit more of a broader context of music. So music became my therapy to so many things. And to me, music is only headphones and sound was like all the therapy I needed most of the time. Kwa at that point sinanga makauri ulindi ma skills zako nyimbo zako zomo ndakala attached to wambili. Hey, fendeni mavya hip hop yake. Adena gana giga what iPod yanga tana nenda iPod no bizali browser maina ama tena nyimbo ora vini pass mada inde chanchani vini pass abadi ko do nyimbo so my favorite song I in Vini Paz, Immortal Technique, and Naso was my all-time favorite. So because of that, music has always been my tool to go back to at any point. But deeply, Not okay. I feel like number one science but time didn't get it when the time I get my books. So I've always been following it. So I was like, you know what? I want to do something a bit scientific and do something that at any point my therapy was music. So these two were always friends like at a various point of my life. So coming to your question, I don't know if
no, because I wanted to understand that okay, your music is going on. You are a popular guy on campus because of music.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you were very close to physics or you had music. You're doing music together.
No.
And physics. I don't know if you had beef.
No.
What was happening? There was like
okay.
Physics.
No. Okay, so what happened was let me say. What happened was physics came in a daily, I think second year last semester. And they were coming in one bit. And then if anybody, okay, maybe I should give you that bag. Martin Casa was my number one guy. I made a man one bit. And then my Joe, like the crew. Let me go. And then I was already doing music at that point. So by the time we made Uncle Billa in a physiology, that was the time Tabangano record this Zinja figure. Then I'm going to put another Gary Baja. Then I figure physics. In terminal, and Naga is what Naga was on fire pig. May he so rest in peace. This guy in America's music, one American can put like he knew music like better than me, literally, and he knew music deeply. Then I can lose. I was following you. He was always like talking about music. So to the let's call it. Did not do some Zinja figure. Then I'm going to survive. I'm like, they don't come for some chat. My social weekend. So physics came. In Anandus and the P. I was like, I'm like, listen to this guy. Actually, P came to my room. P, so we used to stay Muna 3am or 4am. Me and P, we used to listen to music. Hip hop, analyze album by album. Like, analyze every sentence and things like that. So he was like my homie for music. He knew really what type of music I should listen. Then I'm like, where's physics? Okay, Nick, listen to this guy. I'm like, he's bad as a guy. Okay, I'm like, I'm like, woo!
And this physics had already done Jola Vita.
Yeah, that was Jola Vita. Actually, that was Jola Vita. So I was like, what the heck? Dang! So the energy, when you go, whoa! This is wow, fire!
Yeah. I remember when I heard it the first time. I was like, wow, no, who's this?
He was that. So what happened? Ndoma's what I figure. And then I didn't know him, and he didn't know me. Komano, makarungo lusa. Then mabizori, makanga get my beef. No, this is Muzwana. Good people. Then I wanted to go my freestyle. There was me, Blainer, Ronald D, Alonso. Hey, Alonso, I'm gonna freestyle. Yeah. Alonso, and then I pick. Then I'm gonna do a man. I'm gonna be some freestyle. Then if in the brain that number like we do that. So he's like 30 mushoshi. Then I'm then I jump with never and because I do before get along with but when we came for holidays, I go to 25, he calls me like I say, about 10. Like saying that is that. Let's write a song. So our very first song was Problems. You can see me smiling, but I got problems. If you look at, I can't remember, but I can remember. But it was like one of the first songs that we collaborated on, and we loved it. I still love it up to now. And then we were like, come on, you know what? He's sitting Gabange before Muguzunu, and then we can go backstage to Gabange for Pali, Ibe, Zoleteta, Zinja the Fizo, Akaibuta, Fusa, Abuza, Timogweta. So that was the first song. The show was like, okay, you know what? This is a nice song, it's cool. It's soulful, it's nice, it's touching. Now let's do another one. So we did that one. Then I found out like we started performing together. My stage was can I go say can I go down maybe already tambanga practice to limozi can I go tambolo is a nyimbo zake wambolo is a nyimbo zanga guy from nowhere like it was. It
was like a duo.
It was never. So to be honest, to be honest, we have had fun on stage. It was magic. It hit my stages in my blega. My stages in my blega, man. So yeah, it was like, so we started making music and from tire fitters and things like that. They hit my stages 1 billion. I said, actually, to be honest, how you feel?
I remember when I went to Nzuni, these two names was like, if those mashos, it was always like Zinja Physics. Yeah, there would be other guys that would come in, but there was this legendary duo that was there. I don't know who else was there. But the tire fitters was like.
Okay. So one of the things that think was Timalanda Masho. We used to call that Kulanda Masho. I remember showing Nzus hotel or something like that. So what's going on there? I don't know whatever happened. They didn't call us. Come on, we push up like you say we're on the lineup. So we pushed ourselves to the lineup and I say I defended yet. Stage Tigugalanda like I said this new so with the Macau damage my trainer removes 1 billion. So the Macau didn't my dance to no stages that wanga ripi. I say highway but mama go KCN my college of accountancy. I say my stages what the heck nigga. My stage I know to be honest. I know Mageda Banga performer Banga Zambi Banga crazy. I feel goody ripping stages as a duo. We ripped it.
Now, one thing that kept like surprising me was cool. I feel the energy, and now the names. Zinja. For me, Zinja Thropas. That was.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like Zinja. I still don't know.
There's a story to that. No.
Then you have physics on the other side. Chachama Fizojina. And then you have the tire fitters.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Okay. So for me, Zinja. Okay, tell me, Jay, game you did Gamaka hip hop. You wanted to be able to defend your presence, your bars. You wanted to be able to have a narrative. You gama break my bars. I was saying, umaziwa. Me, the Zinjathropus. I stand on the orbit and stop the earth to rotate. I can freeze on fire and melt on ice. The point is, you're trying to create your narrative. Of your presence in the game, how you throw your bars, how you freestyle. So in any bounce and no resist sound that so I thought it felt like an ancient vibe, but that has the progression. So Zinjathropus was this ancient thing that was discovered in Tanzania by Professor Liki. So the assessment or the archaeological analysis of that was that Zinjathropus was the first man to walk upright and to ride a fire,
which was basically the bone
of what is called civilization. It was like the start of the evolution of processes and stuff like that. So to me, Zinjathropus was like that energy of that ancient wisdom and moving forward. So it was that guy. So I need something I can defend and. I didn't know philosophically what it definitely meant, but I've actually came to realize later on. Okay, I think I was trying to mix a number of things that I wasn't sure how I would. You doing music, so I didn't know how to handle all that. So I thought it fits well because it just told me to go back to that evolution space to look back. Okay, what are you actually trying to do? So
talking about mixing things and trying to make sense of them and how they fit when you look back. Academically, you were a brilliant lad. Apart from the music and whatnot, you were doing okay academically.
I got my disinganam. Okay,
no, because there's this expectation when in college, eh? Uzoneka muntu oti umakonda school umakhala kuwerenga nthawi zonse kupita
okay.
The triangle. Your library, cafeteria,
kurum.
So mina madutsira kopemphera ku school makhala todutsira mu ndina kuma these three. But when you look like you're not conformed to that square and still you're making progress. Weekends ubira ukaimba ku show. Azako weekend akupanda ali busy. Weekend uli kwa Luinga ndajina Eric. And you're not quite mind that.
Kuntoji, twakati kuntoji.
Come exams. Okay, you're progressing to the
yeah, okay. And then okay, so I think I learned a quick small formula to understanding how I should understand things from class. I'm not sure it has anything because to me it was exciting to see that to just believe that I'll pass. But to do that, I had to have a very few things that I should focus on.
Okay.
So number one thing, and I think it has developed in even when I was coming towards doing so many other studies after that. It was good in ndikangofika ndikangokuma ndimati magulawa hii situation hii sitabo not recommended by dentist. So it's been a hassle, to be honest. Komano some say magezo makaudu wango tipeza komene nabezeka the easiest way of simplifying what I have to know when it comes to school. I didn't want to read the theories that I do not apply to me. I didn't want to go into the library. That beyond the scope of the teacher.
That was what was in fashion. You need to go in the library and go and check my book.
Yes, I know that was in fashion. Yes.
Yeah, people.
No.
You guys that were doing science.
No. Okay, so yes, and that was in science, and later on in Naibanga developed, I understood what it meant actually. You're still going to do that. Inayosinditobanga process complicated information yoti yapanga ndimageza abakodi muna akupuza zintu zisina zimvesa oloba ngono. The simplest thing I was doing was in mango pesa you say mango kachipanga right. I actually mango person ndamana zabweka mango remember into a one page everything that I learned mango yiko kuti ndikhalende one page yokuti ine ndizingotenga olondeka makapita kumauja ndimakanda ibinda ndaisiya msite nwakanda fana tango papa mbali mango irenga kuti okay. Alright, then my menya my rhymes. Actually, but in that you zambili mbili. Class wakati ngine umwe friend roho ile. Nimaika my bars. My papa nimezo ndi mailo hizo hapa ungofika ngafika moja ungoshala ngopa. Pa. Number one. That was when I started kwambili kumayuza kwambili. Then again class nikakuza akapangesa maize yanchani. Tumakamenya kuna professor Mwabumba. He was in love like the boss wange freestyle in class. And then I don't know. It was just exciting. Then I was doing that as part of most of the bars, even that's why maybe even the kind of hip hop I'm inclined to, I always like it to be more educational. Yes and no vibe, but I think because I always want to combine how I remember things, how I shift my mindset, how I grow into things, into the music that I love. Some people that's why I'm a inclination ga certain music yamaka kozabanga and that's why I also when I was space when I was in another I was like, oh, the music has slowed down because I was like, the game is changing too much and I'm not willing to change like that right now. But that's because I thought staying to what really resonates with you when you're doing something is always the best move to actually enjoy it.
would I be wrong to say what resonated you is using music, Ija, so it applies to other things that you were passionate about, whether it's from your studies, because after your studies, you went on to still do music. You slowed down. You did music in a different way.
I still do actually. I still record
music for conservation, which is more like a project now, not just music as in hip hop, but using the same passion that you have. Kuimbago to now channel that energy into more of your not just academic, but now your professional career.
Maybe let me to put it in this way. I'll say that the most important thing that I learned from music is creativity. Starting with the create part. Okay, so before you give me music, you're always trying to come up with something touchy, something nice, something new, something different, something soulful, something.
Every music has to be different. Okay, I think it's actually music. Wow, sorry to catch you. But
no, okay.
You're explaining. I'm thinking how we have billions of songs right now, but each song still must be different from the other one. When either this Yamabwe wango sampula, you still need something
uniquely. So you're constantly creating, destroying, recreating, constantly, and then you will never even have a perfect when you're releasing it. You just like, oh, okay, at least I'll push that. To be honest, at that point, I would say that the energy that music gives me was to create. I process so many other things when I'm in a music zone, and of course, in time in Abangabe evolve to what I listen to more to right now. I listen to more classic and even different types of vibes. But what I would say that music engages your creativity. And if you want to do in any of these development issues or any of things that you're trying to deal with, either you're researching, either you're developing a project, either you're working with the most fundamental part is the creativity of the design of your project. Or it's a fundamental aspect in so many other things apart from just music. So sometimes when you're lost touch with that creativity, you're even lost touch to how authentic, how powerful, how creative you are becoming, even in the other side. So to me, music is that energy that comes back into fuel that you know that you still gotta be creative, right? Do you know that you still have to think a bit? Do you know that? Can you think a little bit? Okay, if you think is that okay? Okay, cool. So I think I would never want that to die. Because I feel like every person should have that. It's more than the music itself. It's even what it makes you experience outside of the music. That's what I think.
Great. So take me through the idea now of turning music from just your passion, hip hop, to now let me channel this into my career. This is something that I want to do. How did that come about, Andy? What do you think you have been able to do? Do you still look at yourself as something, the project itself as something that you want to like keep pushing and
well, okay, so yes. To me, my how I look at creativity in music is that it helps people to communicate easily. It helps people to relate easily, to be able to understand certain things. So music and art kind of spaces, that they're relating to you too much. They make things easier for you to understand as a platform. So to channel the creativity, to channel that into doing something. So to be honest, if you look at the statistics of Malawi, if you look at maybe the youth population, and if you look at even how much youth are engaged in other types of, especially in my field, environmental degradation. There are tons of youth that are doing, not because they want to do it, but because at that point they don't understand so many things. They don't know what are their alternatives. They don't have any other creative ways yet, or maybe they just need somebody to just spark that energy, or maybe they're just looking for a direction, or maybe they just want to connect, maybe just at the simplest platform. But you want to be able to understand them and to be able to appreciate why they do what they do, because obviously if you look at the space of environmental degradation in my space, you look at most of the things that happen are not usually that people wanting to just destroy nature. They're actually just trying to survive. They're actually just trying to live through another day. So you can understand them if you just come like, okay, here's a solution, here's how it goes, you can blah, 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 this can work. No, that is a lie. So you have to engage them into certain spaces where you have to fully understand the depth of what they're trying to deal with, and when you're proposing your solutions, they should be at a level where you are actually
if you're speaking at least the
same space, yes, because then you can only be able to really develop people if you understand certain things, and you may never really understand everything, but maybe it may help you to just get you to a certain space to be able to create ideas and things, research concepts, things that you want to dive deep a little bit and understand them more constructively, so that you can be able to propose for any policy reforms or to build. So that space, that is where I come to. That is my belief, and that is my approach in my whole, especially my career endeavors. So because of that, and because of my connection with music, and obviously, so I saw how much in those music scenes, how people get engaged with how we do it, when you're getting creative with things. So obviously, I thought this must be something. This must work. So we've tried it a number of times in different concepts, and one of the first nice try we had was during the COVID-19. Yeah. So we partnered with York University, the York University in UK, and I think OSISA. I remember that. So like one of it was to create certain pieces of art that speak to the experiences of what people are going through during that time. So you look at maybe somebody, a day in a life. There was another one that we covered about a day in a life. Somebody who just described their day in a COVID pandemic, things like that. And we had different pieces and what we were responding to. But that was like our first initiative that was like, okay, so how do we channel this? At the point, so we were actually were partnering with Conservation Music. Conservation Music is based in the US. We partnered, I think, Mara Music Project. At time in Dubanga. Yeah. So yeah. So at that point, since when I was with Pisco, I was coordinating the Malawi Music Project for the guys. So I used to be there. So we met with that guy there, and then that's when we partnered. That was the genesis of the conservation arts. Yeah. So we wanted to create platforms where youth easily engage and listen and understand the concepts of environmental management, but in a simplest form, in a way that communicates and allow them to be able to take certain forms of action. So we started channeling messages, started changing certain plays, and we started getting in some other initiatives. We have channeling Maluso Ndijirengedwe on Timven, that program. So we started creating different pieces of awareness that engages youth in a more artistic and creative way, commemorating my environmental management messages. Yeah, that's all that was.
and how has that been? What are the things that you can say? Okay, I think this works. To what extent? Because like I've said, Panove, it's hard I find it very, very hard. Kungopita in town momuno. Kungopita in town momuno. Let's say the 25 matumu. You find it as bambo alias are indigenous how they are surviving. Fetching for firewood just for household use is a struggle. Charcoal, but we still engage in these things. It's not like we don't care about mitengo. We don't care about the impacts, or we don't know my impacts. We know, but we are trying to survive. And if somebody just comes, no way, I'm not gonna listen to you, bro.
Yeah.
There has to be a way how you interact with me for me to actually understand and more like sympathize with the situation. To actually say, I need to check what alternatives are there. So there are all these projects, and when you did the environmental arts, what was the response like? Okay, I think there are still spaces here that we can explore. Yeah.
Well, so I would say that there are different layers to this because of that, of what drives people to do certain things. But of course, it's more of survival, and obviously everybody has to survive. If you ask me if I was going to die or survive and have an option, what it's that's an obvious choice. What I can say is that Makala models, okay, how people engage with different messages and how people engage with environmental issues, especially in my space, it's different. So I would say that they have to fully and really appreciate what they're going to benefit from it. Komano we have the other demand, that is the short term and the long term. So that's the biggest crazy part about environmental issues. They're mostly long term, and the mostly promising long term issues, and the mostly discussed they're not as so immediate as certain things, but their impact is also long term. So it's both long term, and it takes people to be able to
get into the because I'm thinking it's like when you're telling people about the Malawi 2063 agenda. This is this is the vision, what we are looking at. But first question, which is simple and straightforward. You see, like we see, what do I need today to survive? Then we'll figure out.
Okay, but I don't know. To be honest, this is something that, and I've just come to start, asking certain questions about the same. I feel like my UK make olemela use kulemela kwa banova or strength yao ya banova see for you banova they are strong. It's because good strength yao in the foundation and the foundation yao ndi amphamvu ndi nachokera batali mageza ya atoka kuti banova moneka ngati madolo koma udolo unachitika kale kwambiri mageza na kana bango dolo kale amene na hold certain spaces, certain positions that they still have certain amount of power up to this state. That's what I believe. And I hope that should be something that everybody has. So look at what life is. It's just a suspended space between birth and death. And at that point, you just want to contribute to somebody else's experience. Otherwise, if you're not thinking long term, I don't know.
Like just looking at, let's say, the trees that you say because of because do you think inangomela basi inangobeza mitengo basi and nobody has been taking the responsibility? So there's that kind of narrative.
Yeah.
How can we get many young people to start thinking on, this is how things are. But if we don't change them, and when the world is talking climate change and everything, and you are able to see the results slowly by slowly, how do you think we still need to push arts as a narrative or as a tool that
okay, so let's put it this way. Panova Mayuti, they're in the largest numbers,
the biggest
population for the space. Yes. What does most of the youth engage in? If you look at the things that are happening, arts is the most number one connector among youth. Malo and Hamabanga connect more pega wambili in art spaces. Secondary, you're looking at these same numbers that, okay, so maybe we're talking, and this don't even think about just the urban population. Now we even look rural going areas. Back to the rural areas, and in these rural areas, this arts goes through certain cultural practices and what we talk to the different things that they've engaged in. And even if you go back there, you still see that arts still plays the biggest role of connecting people and connecting messages. Actually, in rural communities, I would say gudi kuwamizu jogavaya. Ogavaya umene kujago ogamaka toka ngini yago iweyo science ndi kaja yago umene gogo ima wina ndi kaja. Iweyo utoka uza jingini ichimachitika yonje chimakaja yonje and this you can win. Ndukoza ngini ya. Koma jingini jangali yubanga na crash ndi kaja wins. Literally. And that is not alias amina akuzwa ulangizwa kugira like akuza kaja always wins. Amaruka ukapanga meeting yako yambileje ama kani meeting yao ina yomwe magaze amaziwa kuti my final decisions in that you. So my point is as you, because most of the work in environmental issues, their behavior change pointed, most of the work behavior change, you have to understand what grounds people's beliefs, what grounds people's understanding, what makes them do certain things, how do they engage. So you want to come from there. So this is where, especially when we're in the government, it's still underutilized, it's being developed, and uzibanga understand ukuthi my models are development to akubanga transition. Kale muja many guys macolonial, it was state run, my initiatives already there by force. Even I think in Tainago, Mazbandulambia, the certain spaces of force and things like that. But after development, after democratic, several things, several approaches that we use in development agendas have evolved. They have moved on. So my theory is, I mean, I'm used to up to 7 years, they no longer work. They no longer, you cannot force some, law enforcement alone these days, it's hard to work.
Speaking of law enforcement, there's one that is very controversial, Banobe. Yeah, thin plastics.
Yeah.
This thing has been in court, my injunctions, most recently, and I know the courts have vacated these injunctions and ban on thin plastics. Implement. Have you seen any change? Maybe in the forums that you are in, what's the conversation like on things like this?
Okay, me and I have a conversation. People, I know about them. Actually, we've discussed about them with so many guys in the Mundi movement for environmental action. My guys, my chairs are around. My plastic. But on a personal opinion, it's I think. Anyway, the important thing about the world, and maybe one of the important things that we should embrace, is that change is constant. We have to change with times. So some of the resistance comes from the fact of a whole industry, you're putting certain people out of jobs. And I mean, I'm just a personal opinion. Mm-hmm. And if it was you fight it. What do you think?
Okay, because like Uzben Magamba, you look at a scenario where it's more like death or life.
Mm-hmm.
This is a whole industry that is there, and people's lives, your whole capital has been.
Yeah.
So there's this. how do you balance? How do you navigate?
Yeah. So that's my first number one reason. I say that resistance or that kind of fight that is coming back and forth is because people are like, oh, you can just they're still trying to figure out what is happening, which is also goes back to different other things because as you're ending an industry like that, then you have to incentivize early placement because that means people seem to see and children. We need to carry things. We need to still yes.
Yeah, we still need to get
some, so we have to check out what are the alternatives that are out there and how can we incentivize that other industry so that maybe these people could be able to shift the industry or whatever that can happen. And adopt these other new practices. So it comes from different spaces, even including taxation. Hinda guys abanga adopt the new practice. So the odd one still remains because it has both demand and supply.
On the other side, yeah.
So if you do alternatives, people still want to carry something. That means the demand is there. And then the supply, we can still do it. You don't. But so that's why I look at it. So I think most of it is also just to see how maybe things can maneuver around to be able to look at how to incentivize the alternatives. Because umwana ukamamlanda jidole, ukamamlanda phone, umampasa jidole.
Yeah, because at least this will turn attention yake kuiji.
Kama ungomulanda phone ndazi wanga yani.
Musu sana.
I don't know. I just think in those lines, but yeah.
No, I like your honest opinion because I feel like maybe we force too much on other things without talking alternative. Mainly, I feel the environmental management and everything. What is the alternative available alternative forms of cooking when we are saying let's cut on wood dependency or charcoal dependency where electricity is not really available. LPG gas, yeah, it's there, but how many people can afford my cylinder? So I think that conversation is one that we need to also focusing on as we look into.
Yeah, wow, I say it's amazing. The alternatives are there, and I think they can really contribute to reducing certain impacts. And fundamentally, in Monangari, it's a matter of perception, and it's just an awareness. They become
the normal.
Yeah. So, they've never even considered to try the alternative. Not because they cannot afford it, not because they don't think it can work, but because they are just accustomed to using charcoal. I'm a picky and Pamakala. So, Ndamakalo akamanda na jono oluzuvule sana maima mizu apesa bapikira sanga kafika kudena sana nyamule marumba wira tano. So obviously there's demand. Because if ukamagamba zama alternative fuels mageza makitoma panga alternative fuels magabanga introduce kumamizi aje. Most of the people kumamiza mina mabanga produce charcoal. They don't use charcoal. Most of them use firewood. Yes. So Nkuni is less. If you look at the charcoal studies, that Nkuni is less as destructive as charcoal is.
Itself.
Yeah, because charcoal you're looking at a whole mature carbon that it has to come into those, so you have to break the whole thing. So Nkuni for cooking. Yes, I think that alternatives are makabangabo, and we agroforestry. People can be able to produce forests around their homesteads, and innovating the cook stoves. It can actually reduce, but that's not where the biggest impact is. That's my point. The biggest impact is urban, because the urban is where the demand is.
Consumption,
Yeah, urban, magaizo, because that's where they sell. Most of them, they just produce charcoal for sale. They don't produce charcoal for consumption, for use. Yeah. So that's where the dynamic is. So if the urban dwellers don't understand this dynamic, they can never stop it.
Yeah. No, interesting. And as a country, we need to find ways. But anyway, I think we've brought so much that aspect of your career. I think the other thing that I would want to now hear from you as we conclude. Funny thing about sitting on this thing is you sit down, you feel like you've been talking for like 20 minutes. But you have been talking for 54 minutes, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Music there in school, okay. You've done your first degree. You went on to do your master's.
Yeah.
Where did you do your master's?
So my master's was a joint program. Okay, so my master's was the initiate of what we call the transformative community development in earlier University of Ireland. So University of Ireland partnered with Zambia University, Zuzu University, and another university in Zambia. There were like 4 partnerships. So it was a scholarship that one didn't do. Didn't do Veba Kunchalo. When Martin Casa was my housemate.
Bad combination.
Yeah. So It was conferred by 4 universities, so it was more of. So, like I was saying, my interest has always been science in terms of like what I wanted to study. So, I was looking for something scientific to do, something that is going to engage my mind into certain analyses and certain things. So now we're going to understand my climate variabilities, how they work with. Youth, how they work with my nutrition issues. So now basically I'm like, I was drawn to that study. So it was like the genesis of that. So my master's was that National University of Ireland and the other 4 universities. Okay. Yeah.
And then you decided you would go back to do a PhD.
Okay, so I didn't know I was gonna do that.
Okay.
So my
how do you get yourself in a PhD class when you don't?
So what happened was, this was interesting. Study, research study, space young, and I was okay. So when I did my forestry, I've never worked in the forest space. Naga in sustainable agriculture and climate smart agriculture and things like that. So I was into the climate adaptation space way early, as in so I learned a lot of things about that. Understand how the temperature works, how it interacts with youth, what actually do we mean and climate change, what does it mean at a local scale. So Pamakama studies are going to color either at a national scale, global scale, or regional scales. My impact some color. So understand at a local community scale, taking into consideration at the social and cultural aspects of that local scale, what was happening. So, it was a unique study. I was like, because I didn't know how to get there, by the way. You never know. Actually, I was like, oh, finally. So, my guys, I go and pass a feedback. So, I went on, push it and publish. That was my first international publication. It was like, you couldn't publish. I joined what you could publish. My supervisor was like, this is nice. You know what? I'm going to open up the program here, PhD, and then they told me. I'm like, why not? After all, I've thought about it. Yeah. It's not like I've never thought about it. Okay, so in most of my cases, I've thought about it and I've always enjoyed that space of being called a doctor. I've not necessarily been called a doctor per se, but I feel like with the I critique certain things and I bring about unique discussions in that spaces. So to do that, And then would I have to be in those spaces? I have to be able to publish. I have to be able to engage myself in professional spaces and things like that. So and I was like, I don't know. Actually, I didn't think. I was like, okay, why not? Come, I've been delaying on it. Actually, people are not space. I was admitted some time ago, and I've been delaying it. There was COVID. Actually, COVID didn't end. I couldn't do anything. Couldn't do research.
Throughout COVID, you had already.
I had already started. Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because you have to do it at least for 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Okay, 4 to 6 years. That was one.
Yeah.
So now okay, Maka study and to be honest, when you think of PhD as a study, or even as you think of how to explore my way, when you experience it, you have a different perspective mostly.
Okay. And what's the perspective? If someone is thinking, I need to go do a PhD now, for you, like
because I think mostly you go in, you're thinking you come back knowing more. You come back knowing less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us more. That
Because
that is discovered on this knowing budget.
No, because okay, so in those studies you're specializing. You're sticking to a space. You want to bring in a certain innovation, a certain new knowledge, a certain unique contribution, I would say, into the space, into the field of study. That is why I would say, like, okay, if I have to give you a bit of an analysis of like how I think about the different levels of studies. That a bachelor's degree introduces you.
It's just an introduction
to the world of certain concepts.
It's just an introduction.
Bigger concepts in the research, but a PhD is like you have to create something after that understanding. So it was. That's why I'm saying that you don't really know what you're creating until if you ask anybody, they'll tell you, you know what I thought I would create.
I thought it had to be
whatever came out. Sometimes that okay anyway, but I think the number one part is the process of creation that they emphasize on, because as an academic process, you have to you have to go under rigorous scrutiny. Yeah, but to be honest, it's been an exciting learning space. I would say if people want to pursue a certain level of intellectual depth or checking out how much you can get deeper, you can pursue a PhD. It's nice but boring.
Okay. Interesting. And that was when did you graduate?
No, in May.
May. May, June, July. This is 2 months, 3 months.
3 months.
What has been the expectation like? What has been the feeling like after now you were officially conferred Dr. Elias Gaveta outside here? How has it been?
Wow. Okay, so to be honest, I think it has met with a lot of love. A lot of people showing love and a lot of people showing support, and I've had nice conversation, and then it just felt like really like wow, I didn't even know that people would think about it that deeply. Okay, because when you're doing it, it's a lonely space, and to actually go through it, you have to know to care about, because otherwise you can't, because it's really too much. So to the point that you forget that people can look back there. So even when people are like, I'm like, oh, like that. So like literally, because to go through it, because you couldn't just keep on pointing out to external indicators. Otherwise, you can. So the feeling was still. I think I'm still.
Yeah, I should remember.
there are reasons why I chose to pursue it, and the things that I think I can. I thought having that
will actually help you be able to do
push to be able to contribute to certain spaces. And number one is me. I would love to contribute to maybe Africa-wide or regional-wide publications, policies, these scientific reports and things that are shaping how development is spoken about, because we're constantly shaping these things depending on the research we do. You go back to programming, so it's always a constant evolution of ideas, and that's how knowledge has evolved anyway. Over time. Exactly. That's where we are. That's why nobody magambas AI, because it has been evolving. So in that space where I'm evolving knowledge, involved in my guys, I think that's where my soul feels comfortable.
This is my place. This is me home.
Yeah. So I think I'm still absorbing that energy and seeing how it can be able to be sent in spaces. Of course, I already engaged those platforms in certain spaces, which I don't think is what I want to do.
But wearing this hat is different when you walk in there.
Yeah.
Dr. Elias Gaveta it's different from Mr. Gaveta. And I'm
even
expectations, I'm sure, are very different.
Are different, and it's also something that I'm just getting used to. Of course. You're coming from different people. It's always like, okay, right. So even trying to appreciate it and to be able to say, it's a new experience that I'm still adjusting to it. But what it does is, because of the different expectation, to me at least, I would say, it pushes you to check what else can this Dr. Elias Gaveta actually bring. What else can I work in? So in those spaces where we're developing my design projects or my research projects, in those places where I'm working, my idea is to really look like, how can I better positively contribute to society through what I know, through what I've delved my years into, and how does that actually mean difference or improvement or good something, at least. It has to be that.
Yeah, I know there must be also a feeling when you wake up in the morning, you're getting ready, you're dressing up, and you're thinking, when people see me, doctor, what are they seeing? What do they want me to do?
No, he does. Komano, I think he speaks to what you had asked me earlier about from society expectations and how you still remain to just be able to stay free.
Just to be free,
and then just move around. I think I would say the number one person who should expect a lot from you is you.
Okay.
And when you kind of move with that space, what everybody is expecting of you is really okay. It's nice, but it's really inconsequential. You're already expecting something from you, and that gives you the energy and the things, organizes the things how you want to organize them, because you report to you. So makauri 5 years ago, energy me of course imacha kumabwero mazo ma spaces komano. But I just remind myself, I know what I want to report to me, and I know the things I have to report to me, so I'm not really worried about what I have to report to anyone else. So you want to have fun? Enjoy it. It's your life. After all, it's only once. You're not sure.
No, it's good to sit down with you and just to hear, all the background story, the history, and all the things that have been happening to becoming a doctor that you are and still being Zinja on the streets. One thing that I would want to hear from you, your perspective, this could be in a minute or so. Being this guy, music, I want to have fun, I want to be me, and an academician accomplished with a PhD. When you look at how art is perceived in Malawi and the debates that go around when it comes to, does one pursue one or both, or if I'm an artist and if I've got talent, do I need to care about academic qualifications and all that? Or if I am a PhD holder, can I still go back in the studio and say I'm gonna go do music?
Wow, trust me, that's a to be honest, I would say that art is the best space that unlocks certain areas of your life. In my engagement with art, unlock in certain spaces. It helps you to be free in your own space. It just gives you something to care about more deeply. It shapes you, and people develop more siana. And develop people can develop in different ways. I feel like art is a part of everybody's life, regardless of how it is developed. It just helps you to absorb certain things, just helps you to maneuver certain spaces, gives you the energy that you want. To me, my kid, and I there's no way you're going to go to music practice, you're going to go to do this, because I feel like art is just the other side of who we are. It does not break them. So it also helps you to appreciate people when they actually do more into art. You'd be like, oh, when I go, I'm listening and Lucent, performing the violinist, it just comes in very easily, just absorbs you. Komano sinde uri jifoye uri kubanga adi, sinde uri sunga bangeso jina jijose. I believe uri anturi matakukandi, and pena bagi nzomende magambazi yori sinanga society matauru zora ase uzikonda chintu chimozi and ndizoona umaka very specified. Komano I say your soul is your guiding thing. Ingaliweka soka kama ndio kama nyimbo kama kupangisa uri bum bum bum. Ufuna uvoma part. No sa flow ma part payan. Asi. You can feel mejo uyule. Ukumva uvoma kena obazo aka usabange ifayan. You do it kama ukafika so specimen, you feel like when I study this, I go to certain places, nikabange share in certain forums and hopefully make some impact that actually also pushes certain things. Why not? I feel like our duty is just to really find ways to be able to be contributing to society in different ways that we can. So to me, I feel like music is my therapy, like I said, but it's also my space of connecting. That's why my guys are living with my kid. My guys are made my cover special music. My panga connect more pega and we chill. And I don't think anyone has to answer yet if you have to do one thing. I think if you can listen to yourself, you can still feel what you really aim for. So even many mapanga and entire feeders that in a figure. I space I was in the final year, I was doing my project. I mean, I forgot about school. I cannot move around. If I have to bounce, in the name of man. In any mass, in any I degree and man. In the car. So Umaka will balance in your point. I'm going to tell you, Sandy, in Macau, you come on with man, stuff like that. Because Imakabe with your efforts, as you're advancing, like saying, my career, my articles, it also needs your deeper.
A lot of time.
You need a lot of
just focus.
The space in the deep way. When I need to calibrate the space you create in that space creatively and the deep thought, and in that academic space where you are able to defend yourself and say this is something. So it's a balance. It's a deep balance, and I don't think within this everybody has to think of doing it both ways. And you can check your energy. You can see I think if you want to do something else, and I mean they've pursued so many other things. And actually, I think that's what life is all about. You can pursue so many aspects of yourself if you want to. You can try that and see how it works and enjoy that experience, and you can try that. Actually, Muna Sompaminonga enjoy it, like.
No, coming from you, I'll take it. Not because you are Zinja, but
I don't know. Don't trust me.
No, actually, a big shout out to Mans like physics. I once hosted him before we did the Lab 20. I had a very good conversation about life
so that.
in college and whatnot, and to see the things that he's able to do both career-wise, musically, and career-wise as a bank and the corporate world. You sit down and look at him and go like, oh wow, okay, yeah. I think anything is possible in this world.
There's no way. As a human being, the number one thing is that we evolve, and I think you can evolve in whatever way you want to evolve, and you can choose how you want to evolve in your own space. So my guys, of course, my guys might not be able to balance. What are you really good at? What are your energies at? You might not be able to because my guys, you might not be able to balance. You can still come to a place where you can be able to understand all these different aspects of you, and still be able to be in that space. You don't have to choose to be one thing. My guys, that's the whole evolution about.
Wow, that's what evolution is about, and I think that's what life is. This whole earth, it's whatever it is, it has been evolving. We haven't been the same.
Man.
The Bible tells us this, but
constantly
things have been moving around and
ever
things have been
since,
changing.
yeah.
There's no one who is here who was there when this thing was starting. There's no one who is here who was there 1,000 years ago, but they still played their part, left legacy. We build on that and we keep moving. Whew. Brother Elias Gaveta, PhD. Thank you so much, Sam, for coming through. This has been edifying. You don't know how much it is edifying to me. Sometimes I do this podcast for people, but the reason is actually me. When I sit down, I learn a lot from this type of conversations, and there's always I was like, not that. But from this, it gets open like, hey, did you hear what he said? Can you just go and do that now? And I think this is one conversation that has actually kicked some doors that have been like saying, let it be like that, let it be like that. So I'll tell you about that later on, but thank you so much for coming through.
All right, I appreciate it.
And for everyone who has been watching, I hope you found this insightful. It's a real person, Elias Gaveta. And this was a real conversation about his school life, his passion for the environment, music, and academics, pursuing for excellence. And it's a pleasure that I could bring this with the support of Lab 20 Tours and Lab 20 Innovations. My name is Dennis. Do I let him go, or either you can do a citation, yamu thesis, gabena bars? Which one?
Let's try bars.
Let's go to the bars. So, as we conclude, ladies and gentlemen, Zinja with some bars to close this podcast. Let's
go. Okay. Now, I think I'm just gonna go back to the Zinja figure, just to give it why it was a vibe at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. So, diso lake la fila kala ngati wabanda ngati muyankhe mwano fana lelo tamanga iyeyo ali yalo anaphika finale kangati kumudzi kwawo kufupi nkwangi njale kambirana za iye kutaya nthawi chabe alibe nazo ntchito akalowa disco dance floor idziwa iwona ziphinjo akayika mbenjere nyimbo yake sewele mwina pafa mwenye mwina pagwa bulu zisokonekera kolani mabaunsa zinja ali mbwalo akupangira malo angodumpha koma waledzera. Thanks so much for coming through, bro.
Until next time, keep it Love 20 podcast.
One.
Peace and we're out.
1, 2